skin was falling off, and her voice trembled. She was no longer human. And yet, I loved her. But I had to.
I've never been someone who believes in the paranormal. I always thought there was a logical explanation for everything, until I started to see the cracks in my own reality. My name is Daniel, and I was about to marry the most wonderful woman in the world, Clara, or at least that's what I thought. We were together for 7 years. We shared beautiful moments, traveled, dreamed, made wedding plans. But a few months ago, Clara started to change. At first, it was small things. She'd forget conversations, stare at the wall for minutes, as if she wasn't really there. One night during dinner, she completely froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. I spoke to her. No response. I touched her hand. It was ice cold. Not just cold, frozen, like she had been outside in the snow for hours. I laughed nervously and tried to ignore it. I told her maybe she just needed some rest. But as the days went by, things only got stranger. The apartment began to smell off, a thick stench, like raw meat left out too long. Clara said she couldn't smell anything, but it was impossible to miss. The perfume she always wore could no longer hide it. She said the the perfume she always wore could no longer hide it. I also noticed she wasn't eating. She pretended to bring food to her mouth, but when I left for work, I'd find it hidden in the trash, sometimes completely untouched. I feared the worst. I thought she was cheating on me, that she had met someone else, that maybe she just didn't love me anymore. But the truth was far worse than I could have ever imagined. One night, while I was sleeping, a sound woke me up. The sound was my phone, was missing. It was like the sound had just been cheated. A crack, something wet. I got up and found her standing in front of the hallway mirror, head tilted to one side, staring at herself. She had gauze wrapped around her neck, and something dark was seeping through it. I asked her what was wrong. She didn't respond. She just looked at me and smiled. Her smile, there was something unnatural about it, stretched far too wide for her face. It was Clara, but it wasn't Clara at the same time. I tried to ignore it, to lie to myself, to pretend nothing was wrong, that we'd be happy, but nothing turned out the way I wanted. Time passed. Her body changed. She had become little more than a pile of bones and rotting flesh. But her voice, God, her voice was the worst part. Hearing the voice I had once fallen in love with slowly turn into shrieks and animal-like whimpers was unbearable. Sitting on the couch, watching what she had become, I had to accept it. Something was wrong, and I had to find out what. After that, I started investigating. I searched through her things, down in the basement where we kept old boxes. I needed to understand what was happening, even if it hurt. And that's when I found it, a folder full of yellowed papers, medical records, photographs, certificates. One of them slipped from my hands, a death certificate, date of death, 5 years ago. 5 years. 5 goddamn years. I ran to the computer, searched public records, old news articles, car accident identified by her belongings, private burial, no one attended, except a distant aunt. I hadn't been there. Because to me, Clara had never left. And then everything started to make sense. The flies in the bedroom, the dark stains on the bed, the chunk of scalp I found in the shower one morning thinking it was just hair, her cold skin, her silence, her absence of soul. I was living with a corpse, not a ghost, not a spirit. Her body. Her body was in my house, sleeping in my bed, and I loved her. Despite everything, I still loved her. She came back that night, put on her wedding dress. It was in ruins, covered in mold and dry stains, but she wore it as if she still believed we were getting married. She walked toward me with those lifeless eyes and said, "Till death do us part, remember?" I cried. I didn't know if it was out of horror or love, maybe both. I caressed her face, and a piece of her skin slid off into my hand. I love you, Clara, but you're not here anymore. She looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something in her eyes. Sadness. Or maybe it was just an illusion. That night, I took her to the forest. I dug with my hands until my nails bled. I walked her there, holding her hand, like we were heading down the aisle. I saw her in her wedding dress, and for a moment, I saw her again, the way she was when she was alive. I put the ring I had bought months ago on her finger, and I said goodbye through tears. I buried her slowly, gently, whispering, "Rest, please, rest." Since then, sometimes I still hear her, in dreams or among the trees. But she no longer enters the house. She's no longer with me. There's no more fear, but no more love either. Just silence and an eternal sorrow.